I'm highly spiritual. 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 I'm highly spiritual.
We good on that?
Okay.
Let's go. Peace and love, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode or event of the Highly Emotional Podcast. Finally, I finally got to link up with my brother Jonah Rogers in person, live from the Matrix. You are now in the Matrix. You are now in the Matrix. Nah, like, bro, it's an honor to finally meet in person, and we're doing it at Stone Mountain, which is actually like really big in the spiritual community out here in Atlanta. So it's an honor to be here in this situation with you, bro. So thank you.
I'm honored to be here, brother. You've been doing it. We did that, we linked up last year, did that podcast. I was in Washington and you were out here.
Yeah.
And, it was always about meeting in person and meeting in real life. And I already felt the energy. Like, I already know, like, oh, that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for having me on.
No, bro. A lot has changed since that interview for me. Like, my whole spiritual concept in which I operate within the Matrix has changed, bro. I started doing public speaking events. I wrote a book. I'm leading group meditations. I just did one this past Saturday. And I mean, we're gonna jump straight into it, back to the conversation that we had, but it's like the deeper I get into this spiritual path, the more I realize that there's a lot of false spirituality where people are taking spirituality and they're doing it mainly for financial gain, and then they're becoming, in a sense, like false prophets, bro. It's a lot of bullshit, and for me, when I see that, it's very discouraging. Like, it just makes me not want to operate in this space or even claim something along the lines of spirituality or a chosen one or a starseed, because the deeper I get into it, the more I see the falsehood, the more I see the false narrative in which people are trying to create pretty much themes of spiritual belief systems so that people can just keep coming back and just falling into their loop or to their cults. And it's a big turnoff for me, bro. And, I just feel like for me, I have to be authentic, because to be false, to just be I'm only light, that's just not true spirituality. You
Right.
you have to harness both. You have to harness your shadow and also the light all at the same time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the biggest problems I saw in the spiritual community a few years ago. I was invited to the Conscious Life Expo, and I got to see people behind the scenes and kind of what they were about. And it's this spirituality is this tricky thing, because spirituality is your own personal journey. If you were going to follow the teachings, though, of like a Buddha or a Yeshua, they wouldn't want to be worshipped. And I see a lot of people being worshipped in the spiritual community, where they're just essentially people's drug dealers, where they get some sort of sensation or fulfillment from hearing someone speak, which is great. But the goal should be to evolve and move on to the next teacher. Like it's like you shouldn't get all your information from one place. So the money part of things, most spiritual people are cash poor. Most like deeply spiritual people, when you do it, like, say, things donation based, which is really tricky because we're meant to be abundant. Like, I've struggled with this on my journey, is that how do you get from place to place, or how do you spread this message worldwide whenever anything I've done, if it doesn't sit right with my soul, or there's like some sort of financial, like, you have to do this, it just doesn't sit right. And so getting back to what you initially said, how do you bring the people together, and how do you get them, like, I think those people serve a purpose in their teachings, because again, everything has already been created and it's just a copy of what they're doing. We're not really evolving from there. But how do you make that and package it in today's world? Because we do exist in the 3D, 4D, and 5D.
Mm-hmm.
If we're truly going to master all realities, we should be flowing freely, and money or anything like that should flow abundantly. But again, you know, I start seeing that and I said, man, I'm out. And that's why I don't really watch spiritual content that much anymore. I definitely don't look for any answers outside of myself. I know that the Akashic records exist in our DNA. So why do I need to go scroll and Google something only because I'm lazy to do it? But really, my guides and the universe shows me answers to any question that I want to know.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I said, the deeper I get into it, it's really bullshit, bro. Like it's really a lot of bullshit in the community, and when I see it, it's so it's a letdown, bro, because you said something like key in the car. You was like, don't meet your idols. And the more that I meet my idols, and I'm not gonna say their names because it's not to diss them, they serve their purpose. But the more I meet them, the more I'm like, bro, you fake as fuck. Like let's keep it authentic. Like, you're fake as fuck. And then when I view that, because I'm one that I don't judge, and I realize that every person that I interact with is a reflection of self. What I see from them is what I see within myself. It's a projection, and it's God speaking to me, vice versa. So when I see this, I start doing like inner work. I'm like, all right, well, if they're faking it, then what am I faking about me? And I realized that I was doing a lot of faking. Fasting, vegan, meditating every day. I was attempting to try to be perfect. And then that was falsehood for me. But it's like, once I started noticing that I was faking it, I was like, all right, the moment that I realized that I'm trying to force myself to meditate or force myself to fast or force myself to do this is when I'm being inauthentic to myself. And it just became such a turn on to where I started reverting back to my old ways. So I started eating unhealthy again because I was like, why am I faking it? If I want to eat unhealthy, then fuck it, I'm going to be unhealthy. And trying to maintain that or trying to live in that shadow version of myself, I started crashing out. I got up to like 229 in weight.
Right.
And so then my spirit was like, no, I want to feel alive. So now I didn't drop weight, but it's like trying to find the balance in false spirituality or faking it to be this avatar so people can see me and believe that I'm this character is living in like falsehood when truly I need to be authentic myself. So now I'm practicing being authentic when it comes to just who I am. If my body does not feel like going to the gym, I'm not gonna go to the gym.
Yeah.
But I also know that going to the gym enhances how I feel about myself and how I live my everyday life. But then I have to be conscious of when I'm doing things unconsciously and pretending to be something that I'm not. I don't have to be spiritual. I already am spiritual.
That's right.
Because spiritual or spirituality is being conscious of the spirit operating the flesh and being aligned, mind, body, and spirit. So it's like, it's just a lot of bullshit that's going on. And I was just like, okay, I no longer need to look to this person for this information or look to this person for that information. I can hear it and take it in. And if we're there and it aligns, then sure. But I don't need to look up like, oh, this is my teacher. Yes, master. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. Now, when I get in these spiritual spaces and I talk to this person or I talk to that person, for me, it's an equal street. Right. You can learn something from me. And then I got into like a spiritual circle one day, and somebody was saying, they was like, oh, you know, one of my followers, they were telling me that her man spends more time in the mirror and this and that, and you know, that's not masculine and you need a man. And I heard that shit and I was like, I spend time in the mirror because I care about how I present myself every single day.
Right.
I get my nails done, I get my toes done, not on fingernail polish, but I take care of myself. So you're telling me that I'm not masculine because I'm tapped into my feminine side? And then I was like, that's false masculinity. Here we are, we projecting false masculinity, and then you have people saying, oh, you're not a man if you do this, you're not a man if you do that. So basically, you trying to tell me I'm not a man because I prioritize how I show up every day? And then you think that because you're spiritual, you're supposed to look homeless. Like, no, that's false. That's a false narrative. You don't have to look homeless because you're spiritual. Being spiritual is just aligning with your spirit. So it's been a lot of bullshit, bro, and I can't stand it. But then when I see you and the things that you're doing, I'm like, no, bro is doing it. And I look at it as like a brotherhood. I don't have to be a follower of yours,
right,
but I can also be a student and also we can also be teachers to each other's too, because it goes back to what you're saying, is that as a teacher, you can also be a student, and a true teacher knows that once I got a lesson from you, I don't have to keep coming back and taking your course. I can learn it and then take that knowledge and then go over here, gain this knowledge, and then combine it with the knowledge I already have, and then continue to grow and then teach my lessons to anybody who can be a part or can experience me within this matrix. So yeah.
That's perfectly put. You hit on a lot of topics right there.
Sorry,
no,
it was
no,
a
no,
lot.
no, no. But that's. But first, we'll talk about the judgment. I had to get out of, like, we could say don't judge people. Like it's common for us to say don't judge people because you're judging yourself. But in reality, when you become spiritual and you start evolving and you want to become a better person, we naturally judge people, and we start to see things like I've seen spiritual people, and I've been that person that smoked a cigarette or smoked cigarettes, like just trash habits, because getting back, being bored in the matrix is probably the most dangerous part about being here, because this is all a journey to self. I talk to a lot of people that are back into fast food, going out to the bar, doing all these different things.
I'm listening.
And basically getting back into low vibe things because they're just bored. They haven't connected with tribe. They don't have anybody around them. They become hermits. They can't be around other people's energy. So, it's one of those things where, again, it comes back to the judgment. I don't judge anybody. At least I try not to judge anybody, because I understand that none of us are perfect. And trying to be perfect is what really, when the crash outs happen. It's like I just did a 40-day fast in Sri Lanka, and I'm the most disciplined I've ever been in my life. And it's dropped 37 pounds. That you don't do it for weight, you do it for the connection to
Absolutely,
the source.
I'm on there.
So I'm like, wow, like I'm like seeing people's thoughts and hearing people's thoughts, and like so sensitive to people's energy. But when I come off the fast, I was so sensitive to people's energy that I started to be like, I can't be around that person because of my vibration changes around them. So naturally, boop, 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 boop. I gained 30 pounds back.
in the matrix.
The next thing you know, I'm low vibe, I'm lethargic, I can't move, I can't walk again. It's this cycle of over and over again of gaining weight, losing weight, and lowering my frequency just to have the right vibration to be around most people. Because when you know how it is, when you're a high energy, high frequency type of person, it's tough to be around those other ones. We have to alchemize those things. But the other part, when you talk about meeting meeting your idols or different people and saying fake, I felt that way for a long time of people that just weren't being their authentic self. That they fall in love with their brand of like, this is who I am, and these are my disciples, or whatever is in their mind, and they fall in love with that, and it just kind of goes against all spiritual teachings, especially Buddhism. Buddhism is no materialism, right? Don't worship anything outside of yourself. Energy, frequency, vibration, soul contracts, how to stop reincarnating, loving Mother Earth, loving the animals. I feel so aligned in that, and when I see their teachings, it just doesn't sit right with my spirit. But I'm also not going to knock them anymore, because people have to understand this is a program. They serve some people, and they're for everything for some people, but for some people, you have to discern and say, nah, that don't sit right with my energy anymore. So in this evolution of consciousness, at some point you got to find the other main characters. And I can say that out loud. I don't have to be shy. This is a simulation. This is a computer programmed reality in which we projected our consciousness here and chose everything before we come. And we're all evolving. But to evolve, you got to plug in with other power sources. We power the energy of every single person around us. And anybody that's not trying to bring the people together, I want to give you kudos for that, is bringing people together,
Absolutely.
Meditating together. That's how you change the game. You're literally shooting a frequency in this area that people are evolving. When you go out in public, you change the frequency in a 32-foot radius of everyone around you. Like, it's all about, when you change your frequency, you change them. But then within 64 feet, people can feel your energy from across the room, and they'll start like coming towards you like a magnet.
Yeah.
So when you understand how important it is to worry about thyself and to evolve thyself, and everybody else evolves, including friends from your childhood. I got people reaching out to me that I haven't talked to in 30 years saying, oh man, The three waves of volunteers, Dolores Cannon, and oh man, you know, like they're so into it now. It's like when we first got into it, we're like, I've been waiting for this my whole life.
Hell yeah.
So in understanding that, I had to move past the judgment. I had to say anybody that's not trying to bring people together, it feels a little bit self-serving. So I got to move in this direction and find the people that want to bring the people together.
Yeah, it's definitely a big process. And then I do notice that about myself too, is that somebody said it to me. There was like spirituality is like the infinity sign. 1 minute you'll be here, high vibrational, then you're here, then and you go like that. And I realized like that's kind of the balance of it. Like sometimes I do need to get back to the lower realm just to grab something that I didn't get last time. It's kind of like rewatching a movie. Like I gotta go in and I'll be like, oh shit, I didn't realize, you know, I was this way before, so let me heal this. Let me heal this generational curse. Let me do this shadow work on this situation. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, because I don't know if I said it to you, but I said it to someone. I was like, sometimes I wish that I was depressed. And subconsciously, I put myself in a depressive state when I was eating unhealthy. And I noticed that about myself, and I sat with it. And I got conscious of it, and I was like, all right, I'm depressed again. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like, oh, why is this happening to me? It was like, I fucking know I'm depressed, but what do I need to learn? What is it that I need to feel in this situation? And I experienced that I was drinking again and smoking weed again. And not to say these things are bad, because the only thing that for me, I just don't believe anything has more power outside of me. So even the stones that I wear, the liquor, it's about the power that I give it, not the power that it gives me. Right. Because I am connected to, you know, the source. Right. So these stones, if I just put it over there, it's just a stone. But the moment that I give it and I say, all right, well, this is the power that I give you, and this is what I use you for, then that's what it is. And that was the same thing with like smoking weed and drinking. It was like, all right, well, what do I drink to? Oh, it does help me sleep a little bit better. Oh, I can channel my emotions and being sad a little differently. All these different things that I started to understand, but then I realized now I'm in control of when that infinity loop comes back around. I'm like, all right, well, here comes another ride. Here comes another hill in the roller coaster of life. And now when I say I quantum stand things, or overstand and understand or understand, I do all of them now, because now I view life in a perspective where I can see Tuesday having this interview with Jonah, or doing this podcast with Jonah, and I can see how it's already playing out from a quantum perspective, and be able to enjoy it like that instead of making it so personal. Right. Like, because when we make everything so personal, we start pointing out the flaws in our life. Oh, why is Jonah wearing a jacket and it's hot as fuck in Atlanta? Like, that doesn't matter. Like, these personal things don't really matter, because on a quantum level, you have to say, all right, well, what is it that I need to learn? Well, now Jonah needs to know, like, wear the right t-shirt next time you come to Atlanta. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, all these different things. And then you can enhance your experience, because every single thing that you're doing is an opportunity to grow as the student of life, because life is the teacher. There's nothing bigger than the system of the matrix except for God. And at that point, we're here to learn and experience it at a high level. So let me share this. I love what you just said, because number one, I told people a while back, hey man, you got to let the weed go, because and people started saying, oh, weed helps me connect to the spirit, it helps connect to the source. Dog, my birthday's 4/20, dog. I've been smoking weed my whole life. Yeah. I understand. What I mean is the cannabis that's being consumed now, or that's being grown now, mm-hmm. typically is laced with chemicals. Mm-hmm. You need to smoke something from the earth if you want to connect in that way, or even microdosing psychedelics, whatever that is. So that's number one. Number two, I just got done eating vegan for 8 days and drinking like the most powerful water you can drink, and like, you know, just meditation and prayer and doing everything. And I felt amazing. It was like a psychedelic experience. And when I came out of there, I said, I want some oxtails. Like I'm in Georgia, dog. Like I literally, I want some food for the soul. That one's dead. That's fine. Go ahead.
I was like, I want some food for the soul.
Long if that one's good, we're good.
I want some food for the soul. And so I didn't feel guilty about eating oxtails, because you can connect. Like, I know if I don't eat meat, I typically feel better and I could tap in. But
Absolutely.
it reminded me of my childhood. So we get so caught up in saying, like, even having wine or this and that, it's not really that big of a deal. It's only when you feel guilty. But let's pivot a little more and peel back an onion on this. If you want to go next level, the guilt is what really holds people back and down. And I'll say it in this perspective. I'm just going to use politicians. I won't say any particular politician's name. But let's say there's a politician that lies a whole lot. And you're like, this is a provable fact. Like, what are you talking about, dog?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stupid. We've been hustled our whole life. What are you talking about? But when you understand rituals and spell casting, if you say something enough times and you start to believe it, that's the truth in your reality. There's no karma. There's no
Repetition
guilt.
makes the master.
That's it.
Let's do it.
So so you can look at lawyers, you can look anybody who lies for a living or that consistently lies. It's sorcery. It's their reality. So from that sense, in the Matrix, you have some people chose the light role or a dualistic role, and then some people chose to be the villain. If you commit to being the hero, be the hero. Be just live it. But if you're gonna be the villain, be the villain. Commit to it. You came to Earth to be we'll call it a negative battery. We activate each other. It's whenever you start feeling guilty and saying, "Man, I know I'm not supposed to do that." Bam, karma hits you. That's where when you really understand that, don't feel guilty about things you do. Just do it, but don't stay in that frequency. I know that there's messages in the lower realm. I know there's messages when I get a beer buzz. There's always something that comes through.
Yeah.
You can't stay the same. That even vegan people that say, "I'm vegan, I could rest of my life."
It
Come
becomes
on,
a cult. It becomes a
does.
cult. It's a cult.
You are here to evolve and live out all your past lives as a multidimensional being. So if I want to wear the hat of a hooper, if I want to wear the hat of a homeless man, if I want to wear the hat of a billionaire, you're here to experience it all because there's a message in it all.
Yeah, that's one thing I like to say now is, like, I tell people I'm the anti-hero, right? I'm Venom.
Okay.
Or I'm the shadow of spirituality, because I realize how I appear to the world is a shadow. Right. You know what I'm saying? I diamond teeth tattoos on my face. You wouldn't think that I'm that spiritual off the first look, right?
Right.
And so I honor that. I'm okay with being that, because I realize that's my purpose. But at the end of the day, if you are tuned to my frequency, something I say may change your life if you apply it. But then I was gonna go back to what you said, is all of these things that we do, we abuse them. So even with people who are speakers in the spiritual community, they're abusing spirituality.
Right.
People who are alcoholics and drug addicts, you're abusing drugs.
Right.
And that's where it becomes to fuck up your life. So you get people who microdose off shrooms every day, you're abusing it. Same thing 100%. With me, like when I was smoking weed. Now I'm not against weed, but I know that I'm gonna use it for a specific time as a ritual. If I'm in the studio and I wanna smoke weed, I'm okay with that for me. But I don't need to smoke every day, because now it's an escape, it's escapism, because now I'm trying to alter my reality, because I don't wanna deal with what's right in front of me. And that's the issue, is that people abuse these roles. So when it comes to me, I gotta always go with me first. I have to say, am I abusing this? Am I abusing spirituality? Am I abusing being the anti-hero? I always have to question me, because it starts with me first. And then I always have to be aware of the things that I'm doing subconsciously or unconsciously. Like now I'm to the point where I start questioning everything. When I become unconscious about things, for example, like how we're sitting right now, how your hands are on your leg.
Right.
How do we rewrite this programming? This starts from something as like a child. This starts from the time that we're 0 to 7 is our programming in our brain. That's when that first happens. But then you start developing all these other patterns, and you say, okay, well, why am I this way? Why do I still have this habit? Why does this still upset me? Why does this happen? And it's all because of subconscious programming that you should be working on all the time. Like you said, the matrix is a program, but also you have a programming within yourself, because you are the matrix. The flesh, the avatar is the matrix of your spirit. So you have to become conscious of all this shit. And so for me, every single day, like right now, why am I crossing my legs? Because whatever type of programming that I have presents an opportunity to say, all right, well, he's saying this, or he's talking like this, or he's protecting his voice. So now cross his legs so now you feel comfortable. These are like subconscious programming. And I started to notice that about every single buddy. I'm like, why does this person do this? Why does he sit like this? Why does he turn his head like this? Why do we do that? And we're not aware of all these things happening. And so therefore every single day, it's like one step at a time to become a better embodiment of me. I gotta rewrite this shit.
You hit the nail on the head. Inherently, people are programs. And it's funny you just said that, because I just got done talking about this to someone yesterday, is that if you're going bad or you feel like you're falling into a program, the best thing you can do is change up your program. So one little one would be like, change a different path you go to work. If you go to work this way, drive a different way. If I always tell people to go walk 10,000, 20,000 steps with no headphones. You have to consistently change it up. You have to change up the algorithm of life in order to evolve. And then it's just like when GPS doesn't work. You're always put in the path that you're supposed to. You have to completely sometimes go a different route.
A detour.
A detour. And the programming part of things is people do tell on themselves. A while back, I dated a chick, and the first song she played was Gold Digger. Like, I ain't saying, and I'm thinking like, oh, you must not know me, because that was my 20s. But people, I use that example because people are essentially programs, and they tell on themselves. It's almost like they have a form of Tourette's, where they tell you who they are or where they're at. So I don't have to think about why they're crossing this. Or we used to say like, oh, if somebody looks up and to the left when they answer you, they're lying, right? That's a mental program. But I wanted to touch on something a little bit that I forgot about earlier. If you imagine coming to Earth, what would, like, if this was a video game that you chose and you projected your consciousness here, what would a complete life look like to you? Would you be a Christian? Would you be a Muslim? Would you be a Buddhist? Would you be black? Would you be white? Would you be a womanizer? Would you be a faithful man? Like, if you understand that, like for me, the ultimate movie and the ultimate thing, the ultimate life experience where I could affect everybody's lives would be, I would be rich, I would be poor, I would be fat, I would be skinny. I would study the teachings of Christ, Buddha, Krishna. I would want to be a complete master of this reality and not get stuck in one program. I would want to evolve and evolve and evolve until one day I'm a janitor somewhere. I'm literally Morgan Freeman from Bruce Almighty, and I'm God in human form, and I ain't got to do nothing. And everybody just vibrates towards you, and you change everybody's frequency. So that, to me, that would be the ultimate, is I want to be a complete soldier for the source in this mission of evolving and doing everything that I can to take snippets of this and create or enhance my experience.
I like that. I also seen a post that you posted, I think it was yesterday, where someone asked you, are you Christian? I wanna hear your spin on that for this platform before we, end it off. I wanna hear your take on Christ consciousness or the embodiment of Yahweh.
So, am I Christian? It's one of those things where I would say I'm both. I'm everything and I'm nothing. You know how it is. We're energy and an avatar. We chose to be in the masculine form in this incarnation. I know that I chose the name Jonah. I know I am the reincarnation of Yeshua. I know that I had a past life as Yeshua, as Moses, as Hitler. I decoded I got the 420 birthday. My stepdad's from Austria. I could give you the full breakdown. Even the fact that it was shown to me that I'm supposed to connect 144,000 chosen ones, that there are a group of people walking this earth that make light bulbs go off. Even my name being Jonah Rogers, 1212 in English gematria, and 12 times 12 is 144, right? It's been shown to me. Christianity to me is a program. Why do I need to worship one thing or say one thing or fund the pastor that's got the private jet? That was my first intro into Christianity when I started to evolve and was getting off drugs in 2009, 2010. My ex-girlfriend worked at Saks Fifth Avenue, and she came home one day and she was like, man, just wore out. And I was like, what's wrong? Like, what? And that day, Victoria Osteen came in, Joel Osteen's wife, Joel Osteen is a mega pastor in Houston that's friends with Oprah, Tyler Perry,
Kanye.
Yeah. When he said he looked like he reptilian shapeshifted in that interview. Oh, but anyways, and she was like, you know, Victoria Osteen came in and she bought like $100,000 worth of Hermes scarves and treated everybody like dirt. She had a bunch of handlers. She was on the news for like treating a flight attendant bad or like something like that. And then you dig deeper and you see that he has like $11 or $12 million house in River Oaks, the most expensive zip code, all exotic cars. And then he has an $80 million private jet. Now, he is a great motivational speaker. But if that's what Christianity preaches in materialism, that's not something that I want to be a part of, because I believe in equal for everyone. When that man shut down his church, I was in Houston when the flood hit, and he had Lakewood Church right there that used to be the Summit, and he closed his church whenever people, like the churches and gyms are supposed to be a place of refuge, and he closed his church. I said, I'm out. Like, that was my brush with Christianity, but I also know I have the name Jonah, and Yonah means dove in Hebrew, right? Like, all of these things found me. All these biblical characters keep crossing my path. Like, if you want to know who you are and from a past life, look at the people around you. That's who you are. Whatever timeline you're on at that time, because you're not one person living at the same time. You're a multidimensional being, and you're living all your lives at one time. So I went the Muslim route when I was in Palestine and Israel last year, where I was attracting people named Isa, which is Jesus, and Mohammed, and then also Yunus, which is Jonah and Muslim. So just to come back to the Christian thing, I believe that Yeshua was the GOAT. Like, he came in and he completely changed. There's no more recognizable face, even though that wasn't his real face. In world history, there's no more red book that came into fruition that was a manifestation, which is the Bible, than his teachings. But he wasn't a Christian. Like, if he was alive today, I don't think he would necessarily be a liberal, like the one from 2,000 years ago. We're all basically the embodiment. He's like the 100 life bar. Like, when you create a character on a video game, like on NBA 2K or something, he's got the 100 bar, like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just say that to say, in this incarnation, it was shown to me that we're to embody Christ consciousness, that is ultimately the place of brotherly love that brings everybody together. You can be a Christian this life. You can be a Muslim. You can study those teachings, as long as when the shit hits the fan, we all come together as one, and you take in refugees to your house. Like, you know, I could go on and on about how I see how Christians judge people, and how they're very beholden to Israel, which isn't the actual Israel. I won't go super deep into that because it's divisive. But we know that all of these things, people have to come to conclusions on their own. We can only be there to say, hey, this is the truth. You plant the seed. It's a little uncomfortable, but eventually those answers will find them, just like they found us. And we know exactly who we are. We don't have to question it. We are straight from the source. We came straight from the source. I don't even have to know your life story to know that you've been through some shit, that you wanted to tap out at some point. Like we've all had these things and been shown things as the dark and the light. I'm sure times you probably questioned you were the devil. Like, I've questioned before, like, am I on the, like, when I was in my worst phase, I would say, or best phase, depending on how you look at it, I had to question those things, because I'm like, life wanted me to be a criminal. Life wanted me to do dirt. Life wanted me to live that life, because that was the easiest manifestation in the world. But again, in breaking away and coming back to this place, I know that, you know, Christ, coming back to the Christ teachings, we're anointed, and this is what we came here for.
I love it. Yeah, I'm on that same path. I'm all of it. I'm all religions, but I'm also none.
Right.
And that's just what I truly believe, because, like I said, I am forever a student to the universe. So if you can observe, then there's an opportunity to learn. And I fuck with that heavy. So yeah. Before we end this, I need you to do the drop, the 00101110, live from the Matrix. Like, I need you to do the drop. Let's go.
All right, I'm going to look in this camera. First, I'm going to dap you up.
Right there. Let's
I'm
get it.
My brother, thank you, man. Thank
Let's
you for
get it.
having me on.
Let's get it right there.
We are live walking through the matrix. This is all a simulation. Much love to all the ancestors that walked here before, from Martin Luther King Jr. to Malcolm X, to all the ancestors that sacrificed for us to be here. They were trying to liberate the people and liberate people's minds. And the current code that we use today is 0010110, 0010110, 0010110. Free your mind. This is a program and a script that you created. You have the exit door and you have the entrance to the new earth.